Welcome back, guys. In this episode, we're going to build the lower side panel for the rear inner wheel well for the Toyota FJ40. I'm Chris Brown with White Rhino Fab. Get comfortable, we got a lot to cover. Welcome back, guys. So what I like to do here is I'll sketch out this general shape, and then from there I'll assign the measurements to it so I can quickly transfer this to the computer and I won't be confused as far as like which measurement goes with which side. So once I have this drawn out, I'll pull the measurements and then we'll go to the computer, transfer that so I can get my sheet metal piece ready to cut on the laser. Okay, here we are. I've already put in the dimensions for this part. I'll save you the pain and suffering of watching me, enter all of these measurements, but you get the idea. This is basically what I took earlier and I just transferred this to the computer. All right, now that we pulled this off the laser, you can see that I have all of my Cleco holes and my etch lines on here for where I'm going to bend the flanges. Now, if you don't have a laser, not everybody does, you can cut this with sheet metal shears or on a plasma table. It doesn't matter, just however you need to do it to get to this shape. Then you can go and drill these holes for your Clecos. Now that we have this done, we'll move to doing the fixture just like the other piece that we did, and we'll draw that up on the computer, cut it on the laser, and then come sandwich this piece between the two. Okay, back at the computer. This is just like the other part that we made. I entered all the dimensions, and as you can see, it's a two-piece system. You have a top and a bottom, and the lower side has the larger slot, and the upper side has the smaller side. Or the smaller slot, and that is just as to be used just as a guide for the tooling. So, and of course I have the threaded holes for my bolts to hold into, but that's basically it, and that's what we'll use now. Alright, now that we have these cut from the laser, I've already taken a router and rolled this edge so it gives me a nice smooth transition. This piece is the top piece, and this is going to be the bottom piece. I've already drilled and tapped these holes, so all we got to do now is sandwich the sheet, bolt it up, and then run it through the pull max. Alright, now that we have this bolted in and trapped, we can run it through the pull max, which we'll do now, and this piece will be done and ready to go. Okay, let's run through this, get this done so we can move on to the next piece. Another reason I like doing these small pieces first is because it's instant gratification. You start to see progress. It really gets you motivated to keep on going. And this is what I love about this. One thing I'd like to point out here is the slower you press that in, the better the result will be. I've done this so many times that I can pretty much kind of run through it. But if you'll notice on several of those runs, I was just doing them back and forth, and I was applying pressure slowly. That just gives me a better look, less body work that has to be done once it's done. One thing I want to point out also is you could technically do this with a bead roller. You could also do this with some MDF. The first ones that I actually did, I cut MDF, used a router, cut the shape in it, and then used a hammer and a corking tool is what it's called, and then pushed the sheet metal down there. Now, when I did that originally, I used 18 gauge or 20 gauge, which is a lot thinner. It's not quite as robust as this 16 gauge, but now that I have this equipment, I use 16 gauge because I want this to last for my grandkids and whoever else. All right, let's pull this apart. Let's see how it looks, and we'll go from there. And there it is. That's the exact shape that the FJ40 has. And now that I have this part done, what I'll do is I'll bend this flange, this one, and this one up, and then we can mate it to the other piece that we made last week. There we have it. This piece is done. We'll do the other side, and then we'll assemble these with the top part of the inner wheel well. Okay, now that we have these formed and bent, we're going to assemble these. And to assemble this, I use Clecos, which are basically temporary fasteners that allow me to take them on and off whenever I need to. Basically, this is it. They're special pliers, and how this works is it goes through the hole and then pulls it tight. And I'll do that now to assemble this, and then this inner fender well will be done. We can move on to doing the next one, and from here we'll go to the floor pan. there we have it. Here's the fender assembled, and let me turn around so you can see what it looks like on this side. That's an exact replica of the original 74 Toyota Land Cruiser inner fender well. So now that we have this part done, we can do the other one, and I'll do that next. And then we can move on to the floor pan, and then we can attach the two inner fender wells to the floor pan, and then from there we'll go to the harder parts, which are the outside skins of the FJ40. So stay tuned.